What's up, YouTube? Um, this light's gonna turn off soon because it's really tweaking out. Yep, there it goes. Um, I'm recording this because this may be one of my first and last YouTube videos. Um, I've been going through a lot. I have gotten evicted twice in the past 4 months. And I just don't really know what to do from here. I want to I want to explain everything, but it's so much. It's so nuanced that I just don't even know if I can begin. Um, but I guess I'll try. So basically, me and my mom have had a really complicated relationship throughout my whole life. I'm a middle child. I have an older sister who's like 28, and I have a younger sister who's 13, and um, and we all have different dads. So you can just imagine, growing up, it was very weird. It was very, like I said, nuanced. My parents got divorced when I may have been 12 or 13. I don't know. I just remember I was in fifth grade, and um, they had like separated a couple times before that. So it was very much in the cards. Like I knew it was coming. But also I was young and I didn't even know what divorce was. Um, but after that, me and my dad, he would take me on the weekends, and um, you know, after the divorce, he'd have me every weekend, and it was cool at first, and then it just started getting really weird. Essentially, I just came to a point where I was like, this isn't it for me. All we do is sit around, watch movies, and it's like, that sounds great, but when you do it every single weekend for years, um, you start to realize that your dad doesn't really care about you. He actually just is just doing this because he has to. And so I didn't want to go there anymore. So my parents got divorced. Well, obviously they got divorced, but I stopped going there on the weekends cuz I remember just telling my mom, like, we don't do anything. We just sit around in the house all day, and I'd rather be with my friends. I'm young. I'd rather be with my friends. I'd rather be at home, like doing literally anything else. Anyways, so my dad hasn't been in my life for most of my life. And um, I think I didn't realize it then, but I think it really did cause me a lot of trauma. It instilled a lot of fear in me, especially because considering the fact that, like, me and my dad, even when we were living together, we weren't close, and he was really mean to me growing up. I have this one story where I vividly remember it, where a bird had died outside of our house, and he he, mind you, I'm like 8. I had to be like 8, 9, 10, one of those ages. I was in elementary school. Okay, let's just paint the picture. And he saw this dead bird. And instead of doing the dad fatherly thing, pick it up and throw it away, he told me to do it. He said, "You need to do this. You need to pick up that dead bird and you need to put it in the trash." And he's my dad. Of course I did it. And um I have a fear of birds to this day. I'm terrified of birds. Um and he made me do that, and that was traumatizing for me, because it was just like, why would you make me pick up this dead thing? Mind you, like, you don't even know what death is when you're 10. You know what I mean? Like, So for him to just like do that to me, it was one of the early signs of like this guy's not all the way there. He did go to the army a lot of times. My dad most likely had PTSD, but I mean that's evil. Anyways, this is all just my random backstory that literally, I mean, it means something. That's why I'm saying it, but in the grand scheme of things of as what's happening now, I guess I'm just trying to give context. Um, so basically, my older sister has, she was obviously born first. I have two siblings. Three, all of us. But my older sibling, she, has a different dad than me. She was born in a whole different state. I don't even really know her dad like that. And then my younger sister, I did know her dad because she was, my younger sibling. He ended up being my stepdad. And, well, not really my stepdad. They never got married, which is crazy. But, so he's really not even my stepdad. But anyways, this light is so retarded. Like, what? It'll turn on for a second and then it goes out. It's gonna go out. Watch. Anyways, um, so basically, I, I went. So I had a stepdad. We got along sometimes. We didn't get along other times. It's hard being a stepdad. You're basically replacing their old dad. It's always going to be weird stuff. I didn't like him for that, but I also didn't like him for his personality. I never thought he was like a good person, to be honest. But he was there. He was there at times. He wasn't there at times. So it was just this whole other confusing relationship with another man, and just kind of made me jaded towards dads in general. I think he showed me that like there's not a lot of good dads out here. um there's just not. And it's crazy that to this day he's still in my life. But anyways, so basically I'm just trying to set up context, okay? And I grew up, I went to high school, went to middle school, went to high school. Those eras were really weird. Don't need to get into it. But let's just say a lot of traumatizing shit happened to me in middle school. Not really as much high school, but definitely middle school. I just did a lot of things that were really, really wrong for a person or a kid, because that's what I was, to be doing. And that's all I'm going to really say on that. And then in high school, I was, really awkward. I really didn't have many friends. I had a really small friend group. I was really anxious in high school. Um, I hated high school. It was really the worst 4 years of my life. Like, I hated it there. I remember literally wanting to die, going to school every morning, or unalive myself because I'm posting this on YouTube. But I hated high school. I remember vividly, like, especially senior year, that was when I hated it the most. And I guess what I'm trying to say about high school is that that's when I developed anxiety and depression. That's when it all started. Mainly it was anxiety at first, and then depression came after, which is how it usually goes. They're very I think it's comorbid with each other. Um, and so I, got really bad anxiety. Like sophomore year, I remember vividly is when it started. I would smoke ganja every day, and just to calm my nerves, just to be able to go to school. And then later in like senior year, that's when it really hit. That's when the depression really hit. And I remember just like vividly like looking out the window and seeing like cars on the highway and just thinking like I could run out these doors right now and like jump in front of one of them. Like that's like the thoughts that were just like consuming me. um and so then I go, high school ends, I graduated in 2020. Um, and, you know, obviously it was a weird year, COVID, um, and everything. And I went to college that year, and it was still COVID. It was still weird. It was still just insane. And a couple years go by, and I was in college for about a year. Okay, I guess not a couple years. It was like a year had went by. Actually 2 years, and I just got, once again, like the depression just hit like a truck. And I guess most people would ask, okay, well, were you doing anything for this? Were you going to therapy? Were you taking medication? Yes, I was doing both. Um, and it just like wasn't enough. I was going to a therapist at UCCS, the school I went to. Um, and it just wasn't enough. And I remember when I wanted to leave because I was so depressed. I had also been in a relationship at this point, um, and it was very serious. I loved him, um, and he broke up with me. And I just remember it was like my one of my first, well, not my first, I would say it was like my second like heartbreak of life. Like, I think everybody can experience that love where it breaks your heart and it makes you just like feel like you want to unalive. And that was probably like one of my second ones throughout my life, and it really hurt me. I was really, really devastated. And I would talk to my therapist about it, and it just got to a point where the guy that I was dating was really close to the school, and it felt like every time I went to school I would think about him. Like, it was just like it was over consuming. Like, I and mind you, I still have depression, I still have anxiety, so these things are still going on while also going through this heartbreak in such a close proximity of the person that I used to love and I thought I would like literally marry. And it just became so hard for me to go to school. And then it was also like the people there, like I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I was one of the only black people on campus. It was just like so many things. And I remember talking to my therapist about it, and I was like, I want to like drop out. Like, I don't think I can do this anymore. This is like too much for my mental health. And he just looked like, he basically, one of the things I remember him saying the most was like, you already know what you want to do. You know, you already know what you want to do. You're just trying to come to me for confirmation, but you know what you want to do. And I think you should do what you want to do. And essentially that was saying he knew I wanted to drop out. He knew that I just like couldn't do it anymore. Um, and so I did. And then I moved back into my parents' house. And so I just had this, I was obviously back with my mom because obviously I don't, my dad's not in the picture. And that's kind of why why I set up the whole story, because you need to know why my dad's not in the picture, and our tumultuous relationship. But yeah, so I moved back in with my mom, and for at the time, I think it was maybe like 2021, 2022 maybe. And I, it was fine, and then it wasn't fine. I think there was just we went head to head, we went toe to toe a lot, and we just didn't get along. And it was this different vibe because I'm a adult now. You know what I mean? And there are certain things you can and cannot do when you're an adult. And so it just got really messy. It got really, we fought a lot, we argued a lot. And essentially, I had a car, but the car broke down, so I couldn't drive it anymore. Um, it's still sitting in a lot to this day. And so I couldn't drive anymore. So I would use my mom's car to get around I wouldn't really take it to work, but I would take it, when I need to get groceries or go to the gas station, whatever the case. Um, and so, mind you, I had like just turned like 21. So you can see where things start to get messy. So I would take her car a lot to bars and drink and go crazy. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and act like that's a good thing. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was in the right for that. Um, and there were many of times where I would have her car out like late at night, and she would obviously notice, like it'd be like 10, 11, 12, and her car is still not back at the house. And, she would notice. And sometimes she would literally show up at the bar. Somehow she got a ride to the bar and she'd be like, "You have my keys to my car, give me my shit." Or she would call me excessively or text me or whatever the case. Um, and like I said, I'm not gonna act like that was right. I'm not. It wasn't. And the only thing I could really say about it is, as far as my side, was just like I was young, I was dumb. I'm still young and I'm still dumb. And really, what it came down to, and I told her this before, was I needed a friend. I wanted a friend. I literally throughout like most of my 20s have had no friends. And so I had this like notion that like I would find a friend if I was at a bar or if I was out. You know what I mean? That was the only way in my head. And that's like the notion I kind of took for a long time, was like, if I want a friend, I have to find it at a bar. And I did find friends. And like it would my idea of it was true. I would find friends at these bars. I've had really long lasting friendships with people that I've met at bars. And I think it just comes from loneliness. Like I said, after high school, oh, I guess I didn't say this, but after high school, I didn't keep any of those friends. None of those friends ended up lasting after high school ended. And I think it has a lot to do with COVID. It has a lot to do with just like the world. But I had no friends throughout my 20s, and I didn't make any at college. And I was just so lonely that like I just desperately wanted like people around me and a social life. And I craved it so much because I didn't get it in college because it was COVID and it was weird and the environment was weird. And it was just like, I just really wanted a friend, is really what it comes down to. And so, like I said, I'm not justifying it. I understand how bad it was. And so that happened a lot. That would happen a lot. And it got to a point where she was like, "No, you can't drive my car anymore." And then she would trust me again. "Oh, you can drive it again." And then, I'd do something again. And it was ongoing. And I recognized that. And I think when I was like around 22, like last year, because I'm 23 now, um, she kicked me out. Well, she gave me 3 months and was like, by the end of these 3 months, you're gonna be evicted. And so I had met someone, and we just became best friends instantly. Like, and once again, we didn't meet at a bar. We actually met through a mutual friend. So that was also another reason why I was like, okay, this is like real. Like, it's not a bar friend. It's not someone I just met at a club. This is real. And we, became friends really, really fast. I told him my situation. He agreed to let me move in and be roommates with him. So I became roommates with him. It was really good at first. And then it just took a turn. I don't really want to get into it. because it's a lot. It's a lot. I can make a whole video about that. But I'm not going to get into it. Basically, he kicked me out 3 months later. And that was really tough for me. I had nowhere to be. And so I called my brother in law, my sister's husband. And that's where I'm staying right now. And, um, I just feel like there's this level of just being outcasted by your whole family. Like, it's hard because I don't want to like make myself the victim, because I understand why I got kicked out of my mom's, why to a level why I got kicked out of my best friends. Once again, I can make a whole video about that. That one's a little bit more complicated, and I genuinely think that wasn't all on me. And even with my mom, I don't think it was all on me. Like, I think people have to understand that in this world, in this day and age, there needs to be a level of compassion, empathy, understanding of what is going on in someone else's life. And I think when it comes to my mother, I think she simply does not understand the nuances of depression and anxiety and how that can affect somebody's life, on top of things that already are just like innate, like being black and being gay and being, having the hair I have. I mean, just little things like, or being in the environment that I'm in, the state that I live in. There's just nuances, and I personally feel, even throughout everything that I've done to my mother, that I would have never evicted my son. That's just how I feel, because of the world we live in, because of the state of the economy. I mean, there's just so many factors. And like I said, I have a minimum wage job, mind you. I'm not working in a corporate, I'm not working in an office. I don't make a lot. I don't have a lot of money to pay for rent to live anywhere every month. I didn't get any support when it came to college either. I mean, there's still so much debt that I have in that area as well. I mean, it's just like there's just so many factors, and I feel like with all the factors that I have, I feel like I would have never, as a mother, as a father, I would have never done what she did. That's me. Even based off everything that I've did, I still wouldn't have, because I think there's an obvious call for help there. There's an obvious need of support there. And if you're not willing to give that to your child that you birthed on this world, I think, I don't know, it just it says a lot about you more than it says about them, in my opinion. And that's just what I believe. And with my other person that kicked me out, I think that has more to do with, honestly, jealousy, underlying racism, um, insecurity, a lot of things. But I'm just, like I said, I don't want to go into that because that's more nuanced. But I guess what I'm trying to say, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's just like I'm at the lowest point of my life right now. I'm literally laying on a Mario Kart bed. You can see the Grinch in the back, or actually, that's Ninja Turtles. But Saber's right here. I'm the love of my life. I got her when I was dating that guy that I told you guys about that made me want to unalive myself. He got a cat, and then I wanted one right after he got one. So I got her, and there's so many levels of my life where I should have, could have, would have gotten rid of her, but not rid of her, like just take her back to the shelter or something. But she's the love of my life. and I love her, and I'd do anything for her, and she's literally the reason I'm still here talking to you guys, filming this. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I need help. I need help. This is a call for help. Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, this may be my last video ever. So I just want to hear what you guys have to say, if you have anything to say at all. And I hope you enjoyed this story. I don't know where I actually thought this was going to go, but I just felt like I needed to have some sort of footprint on this earth to explain my side in some sort of way. And maybe this video will make me want to keep living, and I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hi, baby.